Hello everybody and welcome. I am Micah Robinson, Operations and Marketing Lead here at the Condution project, an open source task management app development group. We're a group of high school students from the San Francisco Bay Area, and over the past year, we've developed and released a task management app, Condution. Today, we're going to be presenting on modernizing contexts with efficiency-based matching of tasks and time. This is a big topic, so let's break it down. First, we have to understand what GTD contexts are. What's the idea behind them, and how are they used and implemented? With the original GTD system, tasks were filtered by contextual limitations: location, people, and access to the task itself. Instead, modernizing the process, we filter by matching tasks with your energy level. This is intended to maximize efficiency. Now, let's talk a little bit more about why we need this new system. And to understand this, we need to look back and understand the current system, the current status quo. For this, I'll turn it over to Huxley, a core developer at the Condution project. Huxley, take it away.
For those who are not already familiar with the concept, GTD contexts revolve around the idea of filtering our next action list to make understanding and choosing what needs to be done as easy as possible. They achieve this by creating contexts, then filtering based upon them. These contexts are based around necessity. For example, a context could be office, where tasks that can only be done at the office reside. Another could be garden, which contain tasks that can only be done in, a garden. With these contexts, we can construct a can-do list out of a to-do list. The thing is, as our lives become more and more integrated with technology, GTD contexts start to become less and less useful. First of all, what does it mean for our lives to become more integrated with technology? Well, this happens in primarily two ways. The first is technology becomes better, and thus it becomes more useful, and we choose to use it more. The second is due to some circumstance which forces us to use technology. That's the reason I'm talking to you through your computer screen right now. Undoubtedly, our lives are more integrated and reliant on technology than ever before, and this integration will only increase as time goes on. So, as our lives become more integrated with technology, what does this mean for GTD contexts? Well, in the modern day, I would essentially have just one context, and that would be laptop. Contexts represent a binary, in the sense that it filters upon being able to do something and not being able to do something. The thing is, technology is fundamentally about reducing limitations. Now, we can essentially do all of our tasks virtually anytime from our laptop. We need to update how we think about filtering our next action lists. Instead of GTD context's binary of can do, can't do, we now need to filter upon a spectrum from effective to ineffective. Instead of context necessity-based filtering, in our modern day and age, we need efficiency-based filtering. We should construct next action lists out of what we will be the most productive at in the moment, not, for example, where we are. We do this efficiency-based filtering with something we call perspectives. Of course, there are a plethora of ways to filter upon efficiency. To talk about the best ways we have found, here is Zach.
Our unique approach to building these efficiency-based contexts leverages something we call tag weights. Tag weights are flexible tools that we design to measure the bulkiness and complexity of a task. Yes, GTD says each task should be atomic and that they should be small enough to not need to be broken down. But at the same time, each of these broken down steps still have a sense of difficulty or effort required, as expressed by weighting. And this fact is what we use to leverage to help measure the efficiency of task achievement. Before we get into how exactly to apply tag weights as a part of your workflow, let's talk about how exactly they work. In most productivity systems, you could tag tasks by an arbitrary number of tags. Instead of stopping there, however, we propose to add numerical weights to these tags. Through multiplying the weight of the tags together of a task, you will end up with the weight of the task. The task weight, derived from the multiplicative value of its tags, is used as a measure of bulkiness. That, in combination with filtering of perspectives, helps get at the efficiency of completing a task. Tag weights should interact multiplicatively. You might be thinking, wait, but why not additively? This is because when two qualities overlap, they magnify each other in an and manner, rather than an in addition manner. This creates a sort of linear growth, rather than constant. Let's consider a rather ridiculous example. Say you were to have a tagged name while holding down a red button with a weight of 2. Writing a body paragraph, which for our sakes, let's say has another tag called high energy, which says this task is 50% more difficult than a normal of 1. Having to hold down a red button in addition to the task being high energy makes the task 2 times harder, creating a total weight of 3. This system also allows tag weights to have reciprocal values for opposites. Say for example, and this is a vast oversimplification since realistically you shouldn't be having tags called this, you were to have a task called easy and a task called hard, where easy has a weight of 0.5 and hard has a weight of 2. If you were to assign these both to a task, it would naturally come up with a weight of 1. But how do we actually implement these in Condution, and how could others do the same? For that I am turning it over to Houjun.
So there are many ways where this idea of multiplicative tag weights can be used. It's really up to you how you will measure the idea of efficient. The idea is that you want to tag tasks such that you will be most efficient when completing them. What matters is that you're creating a metric for measuring your ability or fitness to do something at a particular moment through the creative usage of tagging and filtering. This is sort of an additional layer, as Huxley and Zach have said before, above the idea of context. So there are many ways by this idea of efficient tags can be used to help create better contexts. So it is up to you how you judge the idea of efficiency. The idea is that you want to leverage this balance between your ability and fitness to do something and the nature of the tasks. The idea is that once you're really ready to do something, you should do the task that best fits your emotion or mood at the moment. What matters is how productive you are between striking this balance. One way that we believe efficiency could be measured is through tagging tasks with the nature of these tasks. It's really a 3-step system by the multiplicative tag weights that I was talking about before. The idea is that when you tag things, you tag not by how hard it is, you tag by what nature of the work is. For instance, synthesis or creativity. Then, before you tag or after you tag, you assign weights to these tags. The idea is that synthesis tags will probably have a higher weight than aftercare, so you can pre-balance all of the weights of these tags together, so once you're actually getting to tagging, you just have to think about what the nature of the task at hand is. And afterwards, through our multiplicative tag system, you'll have a weight to a certain tasks. And when you're creating context, what you have to do is filter by these tags' weights. So when you have a higher energy level, you'll probably want to do tasks with a higher weight assigned to them. And when you have a lower energy level, you'll probably want to do tasks with a lower weight assigned to them. Maybe you feel like this sort of 3-step system of tagging first and then assigning weights to them and then filtering by weights is sort of roundabout, which is all good. There's another way of doing this similar idea by leveraging the nature of the tags themselves. For instance, you could tag a task by creativity and have a perspective filtering for creativity. In that manner, you basically just have a similar idea, except you feel you reflect the emotion or mood you are in right now directly. Instead of saying, oh, I'm high energy right now, let's do something with a high energy level, you say, oh, I'm creative right now, let's do something with a creative tag. This is sort of a more direct way that could be leveraged to directly filter your next action list and get it down to what exactly will help you be most efficient at that moment. So personally, in terms of implementation, I chose the prior method of the 2 methods I talked about before. I tag tasks with the nature of these tasks, but then assign weights to these tags to be able to filter for a weight of the task. For instance, I have a crunch perspective, which is filled with procedural and low energy tasks. As a student, this is typically where I spend a decent amount of time working on work assigned to me, which are usually pretty mundane and have a procedural solution. In these cases, I don't have to think much when I do something, so I have to just directly pound it out using a procedural set of actions. But for larger tasks that involve creativity, memory, or synthesis, I have a perspective named progress. These are higher weighted tasks that require my attention directly, and the nature of these things are usually like synthesis or technology development or software, which are my programming work or my writing work. In these cases, these require my full and undivided attention, which means I can't really be balancing them while I'm, say, half asleep or not really feel like it. When I'm ready and ready to work, I take that perspective. And lastly, I have the aftercare perspective, which includes complete low energy tasks that need not my attention to perform, but still is larger than 2 minutes. Remember how GTD wants you to clear the inbox, and if it's less than 2 minutes, you should do it, but it's still larger than 2 minutes these tasks are, to the point where I still have to do them as a sort of a piece of aftercare. These things are like handling paperwork or filling out forms, things that potentially could be delegated if I have a larger team, but in this case, I have to do myself.
So let's look at a real-world example. Say you are working on hiring an employee. This is your project. Within this project, you would have several atomic tasks. Let's look at 3. Post job listings, evaluate resumes, and prepare for interview. While each listed task is broken down, we can use the tag weight feature to assign each task a tag weight. Starting with post job listings, we'll give it a tag weight of 1 as it requires minimal energy on your part. Evaluate resumes will get a weight of 2. It's more involved, but not super intensive. Finally, interview prep will get a weight of 3. It's more intensive. It requires you to write out questions and spend time thinking about what you're going to ask. Now, let's go to the other side of the equation, where these tasks will be filtered. These will be filtered into different perspectives, organized by your energy level. You may have a perspective called mindless, where you can do tasks that require little attention. This is great after a long day. You can also have a perspective called focus, for when you're in the mood, when you're working fast. This is a great time to read and analyze those resumes. Finally, a thinking perspective, where you do tasks that require more thought and careful attention. This is great for after a quick walk or a break. You're mentally prepared for harder tasks. The end goal of this new system is to match tasks with you, not with your surroundings. Powerful and revolutionary features like tag weights and complex perspectives complement each other and allow you to do this. The great thing is that this is scalable. As students, we're often given a plethora of tasks and need to spend our time as effectively as possible. Matching high engagement homework with high energy time and mindless homework with lower energy time allows us to increase our productivity. The same applies to the highest executive who has limited time and needs to make the most of it. Eliminating wasted energy and maximizing productivity with this method is what we accomplish with Condution. Now, I do want to address something we have been talking about during this talk. Myself, Houjun, Jack, and Huxley, along with Albert, who couldn't be present today, have spent the last 10 months of quarantine developing a productivity and task management app. It stemmed from the fact that we were fed up with the insanely pricey and complicated task management apps on the market. After doing some research, we decided to take matters into our own hands and create an open source task management app and share it with the community. We've used almost every task manager between us, from Todoist to OmniFocus to Things, TickTick, and more, and we never saw what we needed, so we set out to do something about that. The beauty of this is that we made a task manager for us, but it turns out that thousands of other people around the world seem to have the same needs as us. Condution is an open source app, and we have an enthusiastic community that supports us and gives us ideas for where to take it. If you're interested in checking us out, here are our links. As I said, we're open source on GitHub. You can follow us on Twitter and see our work on YouTube. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to connect with us on Discord. With that, I want to leave you with a parting video about Condution.
Keep on heading if you want. I drive a lady. I don't ride fun. Drive out and riding with the none. Like I'm dying dogs. I do